Hi Pottery peeps. So today Mac is actually going to show you how she does, she's actually going to do the Death Moth, but this mug of hers that she gave to me, it's just so beautiful. Just look at that. The mushrooms and the flowers and the Scandi kind of design. She knows I love that stuff. And so she painted this with underglazes in the greenware stage and then sgraffitoed around the design, and that's what she's going to show you today. Mac was actually one of my first students, and I can't tell you how proud I am of her. She's got a bachelor's degree in psychology, and she is now a full-time potter and doing amazingly well. She's on Instagram, and also I will link her website. I'll link all her places in the description below so you can go and follow her and watch how she does a lot of reels. So Instagram's her chosen social media platform. But she's just incredibly talented, just amazing. Everything she makes is just amazing. And also for you potters out there that have maybe just gotten started and don't ever think you're gonna get the centering thing, it took Mac a while before everything just clicked, and then she just took off. So give yourself a break. Know that some people, it takes a little longer. Some, those rare ones that can center right off, they're rare, but they struggle in other areas too. Anyway, but she has just flown. Yeah, just, when you let the bird out of the nest, she's just flown. And she's one of those people that is just beautiful inside as well as outside. So go and enjoy watching how she paints this Death Moth, and I can't wait to try it myself. All right, we'll see you.
Hi you guys, it's Mac here. I'm taking over Hobble Creek Pottery this weekend. Here in my studio today with me and my cute studio pup. This is Winston, and today we're gonna be decorating a vase that I threw yesterday. As you can see, I love American traditional style tattoos, so we're gonna be decorating this vase with American traditional style glazing. So yeah, I'm excited to show you guys what we do. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with just a little bit of kind of some lines to kind of block out where I'll be putting my design in, just to add more interest to it. I like to do this on the wheels so that you get nice consistent lines going all the way around the pot. So I've already centered my vase onto my wheel head, so I'm just gonna add those lines now. This is what we're working with to start out with. I'm going to add some scallops kind of along that top black border, and then we'll get started with the design. I'm going to be doing a big old death moth on this guy. Okay, so I'm just going to really quick start by just cleaning up these lines just a little bit so they're nice and clean. So I'm just using a damp sponge to kind of smooth back any little imperfections, and then I'll also probably darken these up, like some spots that were a little bit too light. Yeah, so I've known Tiffany for I think almost 8 years now. I met her while I was working at Barnes & Noble while I was in college. You guys probably know this, but she's also an amazing romance author. Anyways, so I met her there and we became good work friends. And then probably about a year or two after I had stopped working at Barnes & Noble, I was working in the mental health field and I needed some sort of like outlet, so I didn't go absolutely crazy. And Tiffany let me know that she was building a backyard studio and that she wanted to start doing classes. So that's kind of how I got into pottery. And it started just like as a, you know, a 2-hour-a-week class, and then I fell in love with it and started wanting more time in there. And then eventually, after a couple of years, I kind of almost took on an apprenticeship with Tiffany. And when she had surgeries, I kind of started helping her teach classes and learned about, you know, loading and unloading kilns and how to do my own firings. And then about a year ago, I had the opportunity to move into my own studio space. So now I work out of a little one-car garage, and it's been amazing. I definitely didn't expect that this was gonna be kind of what I end up doing with my career, but it's just kind of happened, and I'm grateful for where it's taken me, because now I get to just do pottery for a living. It's great. So scallops are added. I'm thinking I might also add dots here to fill up some space. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm also, by the way, using the Velvet Underglaze in jet black. It's my favorite black. It's just so opaque and it looks so nice. Just fired raw without any clear over it, which is probably what I'll be doing. I'm thinking what I'll do is line it with a black glossy glaze. I use the Coyote one. And then I think I will leave the outside raw because I like how it looks with these tattoo designs. And this vase, by the way, it was about 5 pounds of clay. And it's a reclaim. It's a mix of Laguna Speckled Buff and Aardvark B mix. I actually haven't ever fired the reclaim yet, so it will be a fun surprise to see how it comes out. Okay, so that is with the dots added. We're now gonna move on to the moth part. I'm moving on now to actually painting the moth onto the vase. I went ahead and put my banding wheel up on a box so I can see everything that's going on better. But before I get started with actually doing the painting, I just kind of like to visualize in my head kind of just how much space things are going to take up so that I get the proportions kind of how I want them. So I'm kind of imagining like body about here, and then, you know, the little antenna, and then probably wings about there. So I just like to kind of have a visual of it. And then my other tip is there's no shame in having some reference photos. So I always have some pulled up just so that I'm not just pulling it out of thin air. I'm definitely primarily a potter and not a painter, but I've kind of worked on my painting skills as I've gotten into pottery. Okay, so I'm just gonna start going. As I start sketching kind of the design, I like to start with like a pretty thin brush that has some stiffness to it so it'll hold its shape well. Okay, so we have our skull, so that's going to be kind of on the body. Let's go ahead and do our little head. Eyes here. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and give him his little antennas. I don't know if that's what those even are, but you'll see what I mean. Okay, that one's lovely. Let's see if I can match it on my side. Not as great, but we'll work with it. It's fine. I always have a sponge and water close by so that I can kind of clean up any mistakes that I make along the way. And we're gonna have his be fuzzy, so we'll add the little hairs that come off of it on the bottom and the top. Okay. Okay. So again, I'm not really trained in painting. There's also probably some traditional tattoo artists who will watch this and be like, "What are you doing, woman?" But this is just like what I've picked up as I've gone along. Gotta be in my studio. So I'll just kind of share my technique. I'm sure I'm not doing it exactly perfect, but I guess with this style, what I try to do as best as I can with my not so steady hand is just to make as consistent of lines as possible. And then I feel like what makes it feel traditional is like you have thick, dark, consistent lines, and then the shading is kind of what brings it all together. So we're gonna shade his head really quick. So I'm basically just gonna be kind of dragging my paintbrush from here and flicking it upwards to kind of add some shading and dimension into the head part there. Okay, let's add, I don't know, the little like bottom part of his torso here. Yeah, so we'll just okay. All right, and then Let's add some like dimension to the bottom part of his body here. So we're gonna do, yeah, let's do 4 sections. And then we're just gonna add some black. Just in a little swoop there. Okay, cool. All right, let's move on to wings. Biggest thing with the wings is just kind of trying to make sure that they end up being equal in size and length, because once we start adding the details to the wings, it kind of becomes obvious if they're not quite the right size. So again, I'm just kind of visualizing it in my brain before I actually make the marks, and then we'll go in. By the way, this is leather hard greenware. Sometimes I do my painting in the bisque stage. I lately have been liking doing it in greenware just because then it's already like fused to my piece when I do the glazing in case there's any like glaze dribbles or mistakes that get made. And I'm also considering doing a little bit of sgraffito action to this guy after and kind of carving around his shape. Because it kind of lets me clean up the lines without too much trouble. So we'll see. Okay, let's do wings. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and now correct this side because you can see this side kind of slopes down and this one points up. So we want them as even as possible before we keep going. So I'm just going to wipe it back and try it again. Okay, that is fairly close to on. It's not perfect, but it's handmade, so it's not going to be perfect. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that's the basic outline of the wings. As you can tell, it was a struggle to match the left side to the right, but I think we're close enough that I won't hate it. We'll see. Okay, so now I'm just adding the designs in the wings. This is where I kind of usually like stray away from my reference photos and just kind of do what comes to me. So I think let's do maybe some dots down here. One thing with your underglaze application that I've learned is if it looks streaky now, it looks worse when it fires. So I always kind of go through and add multiple coats where needed just so that we get like a nice opaque finish on it. Okay, great. I'm gonna add kind of a line around the circles, and then I think we'll do some lines and shading to finish off the bottom. Okay, so that is the bottom of the wings. Moving on now to the decoration for the top of the wings. I'm gonna do a little bit of mimicking of what we did down here, but we'll just kind of utilize the space a little bit differently. So I'm gonna add a dot here and here. And then let's go ahead and line around it. Then I'm going to kind of fill in some of these gaps just so that things look rounder. So I'm adding in a little bit more black to kind of smooth down these lines that I create. Okay. This left side's killing me. She's harder to glaze. Okay. You're so tough. Oh, you tough guy. Okay, so I'm gonna again add 4 lines. So anytime you're doing lines like this, it's always helpful to start in the middle so then you can kind of try to space things as evenly as possible. So I'm starting with that middle line and just painting outwards. And then we'll add a line above and below. Okay. I'm adding in almost these scallops now into the side, and then as I go, I'm kind of cleaning up any lines that look uneven as well and adding second coat where needed, where my underglaze is thinner. Okay, now I'm just going to mimic these scallops again over here. And then I'm going to just add some black shading. So I'm just going to be dunking my brush. And for the shading, I'm basically just trying to kind of add most of my underglaze and then just pull the excess through to kind of create more of a gradient effect. So you'll start, in here, and then you're just swiping outwards, just so that you kind of don't have solid black. You get thinner as you go outwards. Okay, so that wing's done. I'm just gonna do my best to replicate it on the other side now. Is replicate even a word? I'm going crazy. I don't know. Let me know. Okay, so this is her all painted. I'm gonna let her dry out and then I'm gonna come back through and just kind of sgraffito to clean things up a bit. And it'll also add a little bit of texture, which is nice. But that is about it. Okay, so I'm just gonna finish this piece off by doing a little bit of carving around the design. It'll kind of help clean things up and give a little bit of texture. My favorite tool to use is actually just the little ball tip tools. And there's not really much to it. I just kind of hold it like a pencil and it'll just help give us a nice clean line. Kind of clean up any mistakes that I made on those edges. This is perfect carving consistency when it just comes off in those little spirals. Okay, so that is it for the carving. I'm just gonna add a little bit of I'm gonna add a few stars and dots. You see those a lot in traditional tattooing as like filler, and I think they're kind of a nice touch. So I'm just coming back with my underglaze again. We'll just do a few around the moth. Okay, and I'm gonna call her done. I guess you guys can let me know in the comments if you have questions, and maybe I'll have Tiff forward them to me. Thanks for letting me crash the Hobble Creek channel. Thank you guys for supporting Tiff. She is a freaking rock star. I got to know her really well while I was working in her studio, and she's just the best. And I definitely would not, I mean, I wouldn't even have ever gotten into pottery, let alone kind of have it be my whole job if it weren't for her. So keep supporting her because she's amazing. And thanks for letting me crash. See ya.